Coming up, all the info you need to know about flying near the Super Bowl this weekend and flying in the Big Easy. We take you to the skies of New Orleans.
Yes, plus honoring the best of flight training. We're on site at Redbird Migration. Find out who takes top honors. All that and more in just a moment.
This is AOPA Live This Week with Tom Haynes and Alyssa Cobb.
It's been a long 2 years, but finally the flight training industry is getting together in person once again.
Boy, that's right, Alyssa. I'm here in Lakeland, Florida at the Aerospace Center for Excellence of the Sun and Fun grounds. This is Redbird Migration, perhaps the largest gathering of flight training professionals in the nation. After 2 years of the COVID lockdown, more than 700 folks signed up to attend the free event hosted by Redbird Flight Simulations. But hey, we're still dealing with COVID, so Redbird could only bring in about 200 people in person, but more than 600 tuned in online.
That sounds like there's a lot of interest in the flight training industry right now.
There is, absolutely indeed, and the folks from Redbird are pretty pumped up about getting everyone together again.
For us, this is more about bringing the industry together than it is to about highlighting, our own products.
So what's your sense of the industry right now?
It's strong. It's super strong. I mean, the schools that we're talking to, the training operators that we're talking to are busier than they've been in a long, long time. The key is just keeping up with the training at this point and keeping the instructors in.
In fact, that's the big challenge for the industry right now, keeping flight instructors. The airlines are hiring once again, and Alyssa, one of the highlights of the Redbird Migration every year is the announcement of the AOPA You Can Fly Flight Training Experience Awards. We survey flight students to see how they rate their instructors and flight schools. The regional winners have already been announced, and you can find the list on our website, but we hold the names of the top ranked folks until now. It's a moment of great anticipation and surprise.
The winner, recipient of the National Best Flight School, is In the Pattern out of Denton, Texas. So please come on up.
We caught up with Sherman Gardner, the owner of the winning school in Denton, Texas. He shares what makes In the Pattern the best of the best.
I started the business with my brother Darren. Darren Gardner and I are owners and operators of In the Pattern. I'm the main operator. Denton is a great place to train. It's on the northwest side of the Metroplex, and so we're right under the edge of the Bravo, and so we're out in our practice area inside of sometimes 10 minutes of starting the airplane. What we excel at is we come alongside of the student in their life. We take in consideration what they're dealing with in life, and as a Part 61 school, we can excel at that. And so we tend to be more able to read people and how they are doing through their day. And so if I see a student come in and I can tell that the day's not going so great, we might say, you know what, let's grab a Coke, let's grab a coffee, let's sit on the patio and make fun of everybody else's landings instead. Because I want their experience here, and even in that one lesson spot, I want it to be a fruitful, a very productive experience for them. We have a great staff, we have a great camaraderie amongst all of us. All I'm trying to do is just be who we are, and just trying to be genuine to people. And so for them to think so much of us, it's very humbling and it's very honoring. I'm very thankful, very proud of that, and I want to just keep on doing it better and better every day.
Congratulations to the In the Pattern team. And the top CFI in the nation, drum roll please.
We're proud to announce the recipient of the 21-22 National Best Flight Instructor Award. And in this envelope, sealed probably by Pablo himself, we have the answer. All right. Let's find out who we got. And our winner is Amber Peterson. Come on back up, Amber.
Congratulations.
Yeah, definitely surprised, kind of speechless actually, but yeah, this is what I love to do, so just the fact that my students appreciate it and I'm doing the right things is just a huge award. Yeah.
How'd you get into aviation?
Actually, it was my high school graduation present. So I did get my private when I was 17, but then I took 20 years off. I just couldn't afford it. And long story short, talked to a NetJets pilot in a friend of a friend's kitchen, got back in a Cessna, got all my ratings, never got out. So I've been a CFI for about 3.5 years and love it. Absolutely love it. This is what I meant to do. Yep.
So what do you tell other flight instructors? A lot of people out there are striving for this level of quality. What do you tell people on how to satisfy their students and be really successful as a flight instructor?
So think about how you would want to be treated. And unfortunately, there are a lot of CFIs out there that are just working on getting their hours. I respect that, we get that, but be all that you can be in that time. So what did you need as a student? That text the day before, this is what we're going to do. Hey, reminder of this is what we need to have you prep. That being there at 10 o'clock the night before their check ride, talking them off the bridge, you got this, that's what they need, and that's what you want. So just think about that. That's what you do.
You know, Alyssa, we had more than 8,000 submissions to our survey, so our regional and national winners are truly best of the best. And we use the data from the survey to provide report cards, if you will, to flight schools and CFIs. That helps them identify their strengths as well as opportunities for improvement.
You know, Tom, I had a chance to read over some of the submissions that came in, and a lot of the schools, some of the feedback in those submissions and people who had nominated them, and then in stories that we've published afterward, said those report cards are tremendously helpful, that they take that feedback and apply it to, how they can better themselves. And that's helped some people, make it up and get in the regional top winner slots. And then what we've heard from folks afterward is they're really busy with increased demand after they've, been named the best of the best nationally or regionally.
Yeah, definitely the exposure they get from these awards definitely helps their business. But what's really rewarding is how open they are to sharing their success and how it is that they succeed and keep and attract students with others, and that helps buoy the whole industry, which was really the idea behind the survey back when we started it, 10 years ago?
Yeah, exactly. It's a win-win for everyone. Well, speaking of wins, here's a win for local pilots and businesses in West Texas. The city abandoned its plans to close Midland Air Park. The centrally located airport is a key target for land development, and city officials explored moving the airport to the east side of the local international airport. AOPA staff and Airport Support Network volunteer Vicki Hurt rallied more than 200 pilots, tenants, and local business leaders to oppose the closure. Now, the city ultimately recognized the airport's economic value and decided it would cost too much to relocate it. Now, this is just one of many GA airports that have recently been under threat. Nearly 2,000 AOPA Airport Support Network volunteers work diligently with AOPA staff to protect our nation's airports. Now, you can find out how you can be an ASN volunteer on our website. And, well, this just makes sense. An AOPA is speaking out in favor of a notice of proposed rulemaking. It would allow people flying under basic med to serve as safety pilots, among other things. Right now, the problem is that you can fly VFR or IFR while acting as pilot command under basic med, but you cannot act as a required crew member. And that's an illogical catch-22 that keeps the 70,000 plus pilots using basic med from serving as an IFR safety pilot. The FAA is looking to remove that and also allow basic med to be used while taking a medical flight test. Now, the FAA is reviewing all public comments, including AOPA's, and it's expected to publish a final rule by the end of the year.
And a sad time for fellow aviators in Iceland. Haraldur Diego, president of AOPA Iceland, died in a plane crash last week. He flew a Cessna 172 out of Reykjavik Airport on a sightseeing trip with 3 passengers. ATC lost contact with the airplane, and a massive search led to discovery of the wreckage, and there were no survivors on board. Haraldur was a key leader in Iceland's vibrant general aviation community. He was 50 years old.
It is definitely sad news. Our hearts and prayers go out to all those who have been impacted by that crash. Well, Cessna is celebrating a major milestone. The company just rolled out the first production Sky Courier from the factory in Wichita, Kansas. The Sky Courier is a high-wing twin turboprop, and it can be configured for freight, passenger, and special mission operations. It has a 6,000-pound payload and will cruise at more than 200 knots and has a 900 nautical mile range. Now, FedEx is the launch customer, and they've agreed to buy up to 100 airplanes. The Sky Courier first flew in May of 2020, and certification is expected the first half of this year. Well, how do you know if there's a pilot in the room? If they don't tell you, just look at their watch. And Garmin has a new version of their pilot watch out. The D2 Air X10 is loaded with features. In addition to working as a smart watch with your phone, it has aviation weather, direct-to navigation capabilities, airport info, automatic flight logging, in-flight pulse ox, and more. And it's out in black and ivory and sells for $550.
Well, that's a load of features there on your wrist. And as they say, any landing you can walk away from is a good one, but some landings are better than others. AOPA Editor-at-Large Dave Hirschman has a quick tip for adding consistency to your landings.
Ralph Waldo Emerson famously criticized consistency as the hobgoblin of little minds. But Emerson wasn't a pilot. When pilots find techniques that work, we break them down, standardize them, and try our best to reproduce them. The challenge, when it comes to landings anyway, is that weather, aircraft loading, and runway conditions are dynamic. An airline pilot who lands in blowing snow on one flight might find tropical conditions on the next. What works for a long runway at sea level might not be right for a short runway in the mountains. Here's a series of Cessna Citation landings that took place around the country in all sorts of weather. And the best ones had these aspects in common: a 5-degree nose-up pitch attitude, a 0.6-degree angle of attack, and a 200 foot per minute rate of descent at touchdown. Try recording some of your landings, then closely review the results. Look for measures that form a template for future flights. Consistency, it turns out, is just fine with pilots, no matter what Emerson might have thought. Dave Hirschman, AOPA Live.
Yeah, and if you ever watch any of Dave's landings on Facebook, you'll notice that he never misses the center line. It's really bothersome to those of us who aren't quite that perfect about it. But hey, we've got a bunch more tips and techniques on our YouTube channel. And hey, in just a second, we'll head to Triple Tree for a bowl of chili and talk about flying near the Super Bowl.
Plus, flying New Orleans. We'll be right back.
Are you thinking about selling your airplane? I'm Kevin Tracy, and I own one of the largest advertising agencies north of Boston. And I'm the former VP of Marketing at Piper. I know airplanes and I know advertising. Go to twinairaviation.com to learn more about how I can help you sell your airplane.
Well, welcome back. And welcome back to Events for the Year. Triple Tree Aerodrome in South Carolina hosted its annual Chili Chili fly-in this weekend. Hundreds gathered for the event, and it lived up to its name with frigid temperatures. Luckily, the hangar was heated and the chili was spicy to warm up folks inside and out. Triple Tree Aerodrome features a beautiful 7,000-foot grass strip that is smooth enough to land a jet. You can read more about the event on our website.
And if you're going to be anywhere near Los Angeles this weekend, heads up, Super Bowl 56 being held at SoFi Stadium on Sunday the 13th. And because of that, FBOs are seeing big dollar signs. We're getting word that some FBOs in the region are charging outrageous amounts for ramp parking. For example, a Phenom 300, $3,000 to park there this week. It's not illegal, it's not against FAA rules or grant assurances, but beware, check with the FBO at your destination. Many of them have these special event fees in place for the Super Bowl. And there's a 30-mile security TFR in place for game day. It's very similar in scope and scale to a presidential TFR. A lot of flying activities are prohibited in that area. We don't get into all the weeds here, but by all means, understand it if you're going to be flying anywhere near Southern California this weekend.
That's right. And drone operators, well, that TFR extends to you as well. 30 miles around the stadium is a no drone zone for much of the day on Sunday. There are additional restrictions in place around the stadium ahead of that time as well. Now, drone operators who bust the TFR could face having their drone confiscated and more than $30,000 in fines. Criminal prosecution is also possible, so take this seriously. Now, detailed information for general aviation and drone pilots is available at the FAA's Super Bowl webpage. And speaking of drones, a milestone. The FAA has reached 1 million airspace authorizations for drone operators. The Low Altitude Authorization and Notification capability, called LAANC, automates the process for drone pilots to quickly gain authorization and provides air traffic professionals with awareness of where their drones may be operating. Drone operators need approval from the FAA to operate in any airspace controlled by an air traffic facility. Now, prior to LAANC, airspace authorizations were done manually and could take weeks. Now the system handles it and safely integrates drones into the National Airspace System.
There's one thing that everybody at this hearing could agree on. The whole 5G thing could have been handled better.
The process did not serve anyone well.
Well, that's an understatement. Over more than 4 hours last Thursday, the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee probed into how the rollout of the new cell phone technology had skated right up to the edge of threatening aviation safety. 5G C-band transmitters near airports can make radar altimeters unstable, and the threat was diminished only at the last minute when the wireless carriers agreed to temporarily halt 5G deployment near some airports.
So I'm encouraged by the progress. We're certainly in a much better place today than we were 2 to 3 weeks ago. And we certainly don't want to be, repeating these deadlines that we've had to overcome. We're finally getting the specific detailed information that we need to make accurate safety assessments. And that's what we are focused on. And the wireless companies, again, I think they've learned a lot about aviation safety, and we've certainly learned about their business. We're actually we're asking them for data that they've never had to provide to the government before.
Administrator Dixon praised the new spirit of cooperation between the aviation and telecommunications industries, and he assured the committee that aviation safety will remain paramount.
So we've got to make sure that if a hazard is identified, that we prove that whatever that hazard is has been completely mitigated from a safety perspective and that the system remains safe.
And aircraft laser strikes are posing a major safety risk. The FAA reports a dangerous increase. 41% more reported laser strikes in 2021 compared to the previous year. Nearly 10,000 reports from fellow pilots. High-powered lasers can incapacitate pilots, and there's a hefty fine, up to $11,000 per violation. If you experience a laser strike while flying, make sure to report it to the FAA and local law enforcement.
Well, there are so many beautiful places to fly in the United States. The freedom and access to the sky we enjoy here is unlike anywhere else in the world. AOPA Senior Features Editor Julie Walker caught up with a pilot in New Orleans, and he shares why Southern Louisiana is his favorite place to fly.
My name's Gerald Herbert. I'm a photographer based here at the Port of South Louisiana. I fly a Cessna 172M, a 1976. So I work as a photographer for the Associated Press, and I used to cover the White House in Washington, and I used to fly on Air Force One. And I became so enamored with the plane and what it represented and what a privilege it was to be on it. I was chatting with the flight crew. One of them told me to get Microsoft Flight Simulator and download an Air Force One model, which I did. And so I learned how to fly planes on a flight simulator just as a hobby. The whole reason I got my pilot's license and bought my plane was because I fell in love with a girl in Shreveport. And after a lot of speeding tickets driving back and forth on that 5-hour drive, I decided I had a better way to do it. And I went and got my pilot's license and bought a plane, and now I got to see my honey pretty much any time I wanted, and I scored big boyfriend points with her. We're now married.
Could we call it the love connection?
It's the love connection. In fact, we named the plane the Love Bug. Southern Louisiana has some of the most gorgeous vistas and sunsets you've ever seen. And I lived in the Northeast for 28 years, and I've been all over the country, all over the world for my job, and every place has its own beauty. But the one thing about this place is the skies have a quality that's magic. The pastel colors of the sunsets, the cloud formations are pretty incredible because of the wet ground environment we have here. There's a tremendous amount of cypress swamp and swampland around here. You can be flying over the Gulf Coast and you can see schools of dolphins. Just the plantations, pretty much everything you see is eye candy. This airport really is a beautiful airport. It's kind of in the country, cheap gas, everybody's your friend. There's no drama here. But before that, I was based at Lakefront Airport in New Orleans, and Lakefront has a charm all its own. It's a very old airport. The terminal itself is beautiful Art Deco. It looks like you're in the lobby of the Empire State Building. It's been restored with recovery money from Katrina. But Lakefront is just a unique and special place, and you're a stone's throw from some of the best food and the best music you could ask for. And even if you're transient, even if you're just staying for a couple hours as a rest over to get food, there's places within a few miles of the airport where you can have fantastic New Orleans Creole and Cajun food and be right back at the airport. I think if you're coming down here as a destination for a weekend, first thing I would say would be fast for a whole week. So you come here very hungry, because you're going to be very full when you go home, and you're going to be 5 to 10 pounds heavier, I guarantee you.
Weight and balance.
Weight and balance.
Well, look at that. He got the love of his life, the love of nature right there, and love of food. So if you go, could hit them all. If you're looking for more beautiful places to fly, check out the upcoming March Destinations issue of AOPA Pilot Magazine. Well, Tom, I'm ready to get out of the cold here in Ohio and head to New Orleans now. I can't wait to see all the other destinations that's going to be featured in the magazine.
Yeah, boy, New Orleans is a great place, and he's right. The food is fantastic. So I don't know whether you want to fast for a week or not, but at least a couple of days.
Well, that's it for this week. We thank you for watching, and especially for all of our AOPA members who tuned in.
Yep, absolutely. We'd love to have you be an AOPA pilot if you're not already. Find out more at the link on your screen. We'll see you next week.
There are many important things to consider before purchasing an aircraft. Let the experts at Aerospace Reports help guide you through the process. We combine expert knowledge with our long-standing commitment to personalized customer service to perfect your transaction. Learn more at aerospacereports.com.